Jo Leute, was geht ab und willkommen zu einem weiteren Apex Legends Video. Und heute tatsächlich was sehr, sehr Spezielles. Und zwar ein Warzone Pro Player, der keine Ahnung von Apex hat. Was heißt ein kompletter Neuanfänger, der noch ein bisschen, ich sag mal, Aim-Skill und Gun-Skill von Warzone mitbringt. Spielt zum allerersten Mal Apex Legends für einen Monat, sprich 31 Tage. Und er selbst und wir sind richtig gespannt, wie er sich schlagen wird. Wird er das Spiel später, danach den 31 Tagen, besser finden als Warzone? Wie ist das Matchmaking bei ihm? Was hat er so für Games? Wie schnell kann er sich behaupten? Das finden wir jetzt alle raus. Ich bin ultra gespannt. Könnte eins der interessantesten Videos seit langem sein. Und ich bin gespannt, was jetzt hier so passiert. Kurze Anmerkung vorher noch. Ich habe das Video für euch mit deutschen Untertiteln versehen. Was heißt also, yo, er wird in dem Video ziemlich viel reden. Ich habe den Untertitel exportiert, extrahieren lassen von AI, also künstliche Intelligenz, und dann durch DeepL einen extrem guten Übersetzer durchgejagt und dann den Untertitel wieder im Video eingefügt, damit natürlich auch alle, die jetzt nicht so gut Englisch verstehen, auch mit verstehen können und mitlesen können und natürlich auch verstehen, worum es in dem Video geht. Wenn der Untertitel nicht immer hundertprozentig zum Bild bzw. zu dem, was er auf Englisch sagt, passt, nehmt es mir nicht krumm. Ich habe, wie gesagt, nicht alles von Hand übersetzt, sondern das hat eine künstliche Intelligenz übernommen. Aber, yo, ich würde sagen, wir fangen jetzt an mit wahrscheinlich dem interessantesten Apex-Video seit langem. Link zum Originalvideo und zum Channel natürlich auch in der Videobeschreibung. Let's go!
What would happen if a Warzone sweat who's basically never played Apex Legends dedicates 1 month to playing the game? Can I learn all of the crazy movements? Can I drop a high kill game? Is Apex more fun to play than Warzone?
Da bin ich gespannt drauf.
There's only one way to find out.
Dream Strike
Okay,
heißt
so the
er.
first thing I had to do was get a baseline for my skill. I was going to be tracking my progress in 3 categories over the next month. My highest kills in a game, the
Macht
highest
Sinn.
damage badge that I collect, and the number of new movements that I learn. The last one's kind of silly, but I love learning new movement.
What a nerd.
Now, honestly, I was pretty confident going into the first game, and that confidence only grew when I immediately got a kill on the
Season 17. Gab's da schon die Orientierungsmatches oder sind die erst in Season 18 dazugekommen? Ne, die gab's letzte Season schon, oder? Was heißt also, er ist am Anfang definitiv in den Orientierungsmatches drin. Gut, da wird er natürlich normalerweise... Oder? Ist das so? Ich weiß es nicht. Ich würde trotzdem einfach mal behaupten, gerade am Anfang ist es schon noch relativ fair. Und du wirst am Anfang zumindest die ersten 5 Games, würde ich sagen, wirst du ziemlich krasse Erfolgserlebnisse fahren.
Oh, let's go. I mean, I'd watched hours of Apex tutorials, I knew the best building to land, and I could shoot pretty straight in Warzone. That had to mean something, right? Well, maybe not.
Schade. Er hat das Video tatsächlich wann ich das aufnehme, vor 2 Tagen hochgeladen. Allerdings sind es natürlich, ich weiß nicht, ob es dann so weitergeht, aber im Moment sehen wir Gameplay-Ausschnitte aus Season 17 und ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass das ganze Video in Season 17 handelt, was extrem schade wäre, weil, ja, in Season 18 hat sich das Matchmaking komplett verändert und es würde vielleicht ein komplett anderes Video entstehen. Ich hoffe mal, es kommt auch Season 18 Content. Wäre echt schade, weil letzte Season ist natürlich nicht so aussagekräftig wie die Season, weil das kannst du nicht vergleichen. Letzte Season und diese Season, no chance. Das geht nicht. Also hoffe ich mal, dass noch Season 18 Content kommt, aber ich denke schon.
Things went downhill pretty fast. I quickly realized that people had a lot of health and the gun magazines had almost no ammo, which meant I needed to make every bullet.
Ja
count
gut, wenn
if I wanted
du
to get any
Warzone
kills.
gewohnt bist, ist es schon eine krasse Umstellung. Oh, die Brave ist schon wieder am Sweaten.
So instead of destroying the lobby like I thought I would, I spent most of the night running for my life. Please, stop chasing me. No. And I had absolutely no clue where I was going.
Ja, es ist Season
What
17.
is this? Oh my gosh, no way.
RIP.
By the end of the night, my best game was 4 kills.
Aber
I got
geil
through
geschnitten.
mostly shooting people in the back. I didn't collect any damage badges, and my movement was not great. What had I
Okay.
gotten myself into? I went to bed completely overwhelmed, and by the next morning, I was beginning to think I had made a big mistake. I wanted to play a new game because I've been unhappy with the slow movement in Warzone 2, and gaming just hadn't been fun for months. But maybe Apex Legends was too hard. Maybe I should go back to the game that I spent hundreds of hours
Kann's
playing,
null
because at
einschätzen.
least I was good at it. But unfortunately, it was too late for that. Now, I should mention there are some rules for this challenge. Number 1, I can't get help from friends, because I'm not looking for a hard carry. Number 2, I'm only playing pubs, mostly because I don't have ranked unlocked.
Ich muss gerade öfter auf diesen Untertitel achten, weil er einfach Pubs mit Kneipen übersetzt hat. Ist das geil? Wie gesagt, ihr könnt den Untertitel nicht so serious nehmen. Er übersetzt halt 1:1, ne? Weil ich nicht viel getrunken habe.
And
Lul.
honestly, it kind of scares me.
Warte, hat er das wirklich gesagt?
Number 1, I can't get help from friends, because I'm not looking for a hard carry. Number 2, I'm only playing pubs, mostly because I don't have ranked unlocked, and
Wie kommt er auf, weil ich zu viel getrunken
now I
habe?
should mention there are some rules for this challenge.
Was?
Number 1, I can't get help from friends, because I'm not looking for a hard carry. Number
Weil ich nicht viel getrunken. Okay, da hat der Übersetzer komplette Grütze draus gemacht.
2, I'm only playing pubs.
Nummer 2. Ich spiele meistens nur in Kneipen, weil ich nicht viel getrunken habe. Klar, safe. Mach ich auch immer. Ich spiele auch mal in Kneipen. Klar. Wenn ich Pub spiele, spiele ich in Kneipen. Ist klar. Klar, logisch.
Because I don't have ranked unlocked, and honestly, it kind of scares me.
What are you sitting there for? You stupid mother doing?
And number 3, I only have 1 month to train. Now to prep for this month, I did a lot of research, and instead of just dropping into the Battle Royale mode, where I would need to learn the maps, the looting, the mechanics, and so much more all at once, my game plan for the first few days was to simplify. I would just focus on learning the mechanics first by practicing in the firing range and getting into as many gunfights as possible in multiplayer. And once I wasn't a complete bot, I could graduate to learning the Battle Royale part of the game. And the first thing that I wanted to learn was wall bouncing.
Interessante Taktik. Quasi erst im Schießstand üben und dann im Mixtape üben und dann ins Battle Royale gehen. Würde ich, glaube ich, tatsächlich, wenn ich kompletter Anfänger war oder wäre, würde ich, glaube ich, nicht machen. Ich glaube, ich würde mir direkt im Battle Royale die Blöße geben. Es ist zwar am Anfang wahrscheinlich schwierig, aber du kommst viel schneller rein. Weil zwischen Mixtape und Battle Royale sind Weltenunterschiede. Allein was die Attachments auf den Waffen angeht. Okay. Aber guck mal, was bei seiner Herangehensweise rauskommt. Wir sind erst am Tag 1.
Slide jump, press jump again at the wall, and
Er will Wallbouncen an Tag 1 lernen? Bro.
okay, this is going to take longer than I thought. Well, the hours went by as I struggled to learn the right technique. It honestly felt strange to be so bad at movement because
Ja, aber ist eigentlich, also Wallbounce lernen ist auf Maus und Tastatur actually ziemlich einfach. Ich habe jetzt nicht geachtet, ob er Controller oder M&K spielt, aber auf M&K ist halt wirklich easy. Du springst gegen eine Wand, scrollst mit deinem Scrollwheel und das war's. Du musst ja nichts timen.
it was something I was good at in Warzone 1. But after a lot of failures,
Ja, okay, er spielt Controller. Hat man gerade gesehen.
I finally started to get better, and I could hit wall bounces.
Ja,
from
okay,
all
dann ist
different types of
hart. Dann
angles.
ist es viel, viel schwieriger.
Well, at least some of the time. And after some aim training with this new movement skill, I felt ready to play against some real players. Now, I'd love to say that I hit the ground running, but it was more like walking, because getting better at this game
spielt
was
Controller.
going to take
Ja.
some time. I still didn't know how to use all the guns.
It's a shotgun?
Ja, das ist eine
Special
ziemlich gute
abilities that
Shotgun
each
sogar.
legend had were pretty confusing.
Aber
What
das
is
ist halt
that?
alles Season 17, ne? Ist alles Season 17. Ist unlucky.
And the wall bounces that I had practiced for hours were hard to use in a game. But it wasn't all bad, because I found out that I really liked using SMGs like the car, and I also realized how important hip firing was in this game. And then something happened that would change the course of history.
Der erste Wallbounce-Kill. Safe.
Hey, it was the slowest wall bounce kill of all time, and it wasn't going to change history. But
Geil.
I was so happy to see my practice paying off that it motivated me to keep going. So on day 2, I learned how to wall bounce without sliding, which seemed really useful.
Oh, das ist, Alter, wirklich. Also abgesehen mal davon, dass wirklich Season 17, Season 18 so eigentlich mit die ungeilste Zeit ist, um Apex anzufangen. Weil wenn du seit Season 3 oder Season 4 oder sagen wir Season 7 wie ich dabei bist, ist es nochmal ganz was anderes. Hattest du damals viel, viel mehr Spaß und weniger toxisch, wenn man so möchte. Aber ich finde es krass, wie motiviert er halt einfach ist, weil das kenne ich halt von mir nicht mehr. Diese kleinen Erfolge am Anfang ist halt schon geil. Und die hast du in Apex relativ schnell tatsächlich. Aber wenn du es halt seit Tag 1 spielst, jeden Tag darüber ein Video machst, dann ist es halt für dich nichts mehr wert, wenn du einen Kill machst. Du willst halt 20 Bombs, 4Ks, Win. So. Krass. Finde ich aber geil, dass er da so motiviert ist. Das finde ich richtig geil.
In close quarter fights. That might not have been a real person.
Okay,
And then I
das
learned
war
how
ein
to
Bot.
change direction in the air, which opened up all kinds of new movement possibilities. I was on a roll and it felt like my progress
Aber saustark, dass er so schnell den Wall Bounce gelernt hat. Das ist ja mega.
However, on day 3, I started to notice something. My aim
Wie kommt er auf Chirurg, Brudi? Oh, man kann diese Unterschiede teilweise echt nicht ernst nehmen. Aber wie gesagt, nehmt es nicht so ernst. Ich kann nicht Wort für Wort übersetzen. Das Video geht 20 Minuten. Vergesst
was
es.
pretty good when I was fully focused on winning the gunfight. But when I tried to use movement, I started to miss a lot of
Ja,
shots.
ja,
What in the
ja,
world
ja,
is that?
ja.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing to know how to do the movements, but then it's something completely different to be able to do them in a gunfight
Ja,
under pressure.
total,
I was
total.
also finding out that the popular movement I had learned to change direction in the air was kind of controversial because it requires a scroll wheel or a macro. You can't get
richtig.
banned for doing it, so there are a lot of opinions on if it should be in the game. Now you can technically tap strafe an all function in the air was kind of controversial because it requires a scroll wheel or a macro. You can't get banned for doing it, so there are a lot of opinions.
Ist nicht passiert. Wird auch nicht passieren.
On if it should be in the game. Now you can technically tap strafe in all 4 directions on controller, but I only set up the forward direction because that's what keyboard users do, so it seemed fair. But this meant that I had to rebuy my controller buttons, so even after a few days of practice, I was still messing.
Warte, Wallbounce geht geht mit Controller normal, ne? Aber Tab-Strafen, glaube ich, geht nur mit Config in Steam. Ich meine schon. Und auf Konsole sowieso nicht, weil auf Konsole gibt es diesen Code, der quasi dafür sorgt, dass Tab-Strafing möglich ist. Den gibt es auf Konsole nicht. Also es geht nur auf PC, auf Controller mit Config, genau. Wenn du in Steam die Einstellungen umstellst.
This is an FPS game after all.
I do know that, yeah, but that's no fun.
So I decided to double down on practicing moving and aiming at the same time. I worked on the basics like strafing and shooting,
aber
and I
stark.
worked on the more advanced stuff like wall
An
bouncing and
Tag
tracking.
5?
I also realized I can unholster my
Wow.
gun during slides for faster movement. It
Richtig.
wasn't going to happen overnight, but I knew if I kept practicing my movement and aim at the same time, eventually it would become muscle memory. Or at least I was hoping so. When I thought about it, that's why I was becoming obsessed with Apex Legends. There was just so much to learn to get better. On one hand, it was possibly the
Oh,
most
ich sag's euch,
challenging game
einmal noch mit Apex von komplett null anfangen. Ich wünschte mir wirklich, ich hätte von Season 0 an Videos darüber gemacht. Ich würde es mir so wünschen, es wäre so geil. Von Season 0 an, diese ganze Journey. Ich habe erst ab Season 7 angefangen und ab Season 9 kamen aktiv Videos. Ich war zwar seit Tag 1 dabei, aber ich habe es halt leider nie auf YouTube gezeigt. Ah, das wäre so schön gewesen, wenn wir die ganze Journey von Tag 1 auf YouTube gehabt hätten. Vor allem auch diese ganzen LTMs und alles. Und nochmal einmal noch zurückreisen und von neu anfangen. Es wäre so
I'd
geil.
ever played, but on the other, it was so
That's so
satisfying
nice.
to be able to outplay other people. This game had a true skill gap, which was really nice, and was
Total.
definitely a breath of fresh air coming from Warzone. I could see why people love this game. Well, I guess all FPS games have terrible servers.
Ist es so?
Anyways, after 5 days of practicing my mechanics, I knew it was time to graduate to playing Battle Royale.
Oh,
I still
shit.
had a lot to improve, and there were many skills I wanted to learn,
Als
but I was
Solo?
on a deadline with this challenge.
Aber man
And
merkt,
who
er hat einfach
knows?
gutes Aim
Maybe
aus
it wouldn't be
Warzone.
that much harder than multiplayer. No, I thought it was just dropping down to a lower level. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad.
Ich hab's mir gerade gedacht.
Yeah, that anxious feeling that I had at the beginning of the challenge was back. When I started to explore the maps, I wasn't prepared for how big they actually were. And on top
ja.
of that, the map that I played the first day was completely gone. And there were 3 other maps
Ah, er
now
hat
that
genau um den
rotated
Split
every hour or
rumgespielt.
so. I
Unlucky.
realized that learning every POI on all 3 maps was pretty much impossible in a month. So the only thing I could think to do was to pick one near the center of each map to land at every time. This would hopefully help me memorize that area quickly so that I could loot fast and at least have a chance to win early gunfights. I gave myself the day to wander around the maps to scout out my landing spots, and I went to bed knowing that tomorrow I had to stop thinking about it and just go for it. My first game was a solo duos match on Olympus. I decided to play this mode for the first few days to practice fighting teams when I was outnumbered. And after third-partying a team for an easy
Da musst du aber auch erstmal Confidence zu haben, ne? Um Solo-Duos quasi beim ersten Battle Royale-Spielen direkt reinzuhauen. Das, glaube ich, geht als unskilled Player, also wenn du quasi komplett neu in Shooter reinstartest, hast du da keine Chance. Aber wenn du natürlich von Warzone kommst mit ein bisschen Grund-Aim und Grund-Waffenskill, geht das schon.
Excited for this plan. But then when I ran into a legit 1v2 fight, things didn't go so well. I started off by actually hitting a lot of my shots to get a knock, but then I completely whiffed an entire R9 clip while hip firing. I trolled that. That was such an easy win. But I shook it off and got right back into another game. I was blessed again with some pretty solid guns at the start and was able to get a really easy kill before immediately running into a full team inside the building.
Okay, aber also man muss sagen, bei ihm, das Anfangs-Matchmaking ist relativ stabil. Also das ist vollkommen in Ordnung. Das sind alles Gegner, die ungefähr auf seinem Niveau sind. Wenn nicht sogar, um jetzt schon zu sagen, drunter. Geil.
I was able to hold the team off from pushing me, which allowed me to isolate each gunfight. Now, it wasn't exactly pretty, because I kept forgetting that these guns had small magazines, but you know, sometimes you just have to take whatever works. And after that fight, I went on to clean up not one, but two more teams.
Alter, yo! Saustark!
Okay, maybe they were bots, but it felt good to already start having some success fighting when I was outnumbered. Spending those first couple of days working on my mechanics and getting into a lot of gunfights in the mixtape modes seemed to really be paying off. Unfortunately, I ended up getting pushed by a team, and I tried to use my tactical ability that makes me invincible for a few seconds to get away.
Und wahrscheinlich steht oben jemand, oder? Ja.
Team at the top of the zipline, which brought my new kill.
Das Third-Party bist du von Warzone nicht gewohnt. Das hast du in anderen Battle Royales nicht so krass. Das Third-Party ist in Apex, gerade wenn du so zum ersten Mal erlebst, ist schon krass.
7. But I didn't have time to celebrate.
Aber 7 Kills.
Now I had to try a different map.
Stabil. Mehr als ich die Season hatte.
Shocked myself when I had another really good game because this map is.
Aber es ist halt leider alles Season 17 Matchmaking. Da war es noch in Ordnung. Es wäre so interessant, mit einem komplett neuen Account diese Season zu starten. Ich glaube, ich starte eine Videoreihe drüber, Leute. Das wäre so interessant. Wie geht's los, wenn du wirklich einen komplett von Null startest? Weil letzte Season hattest du easy eine Chance. Aber wie es diese Season aussieht, keine Ahnung.
I thought that finding people might be pretty hard, but the map size didn't matter because I was slaying out. The R9 was quickly becoming my favorite gun, and the Nemesis was just flat out broken.
Oh yeah.
I was also finding that having several arc stars or grenades was pretty handy to keep in your inventory.
Yeah.
I killed this team here, and then through pretty much sheer luck, was able to find several solo players by just following and playing.
Also für das, dass er 7 Tage in der Woche erst spielt er saustark.
And I now had a chance for my first win, as well as my first double-digit kill game. Okay, who am I kidding? I had absolutely no shot at winning this game because I had no idea what I was doing. I first tried to shoot through the red side of a rampart wall, which isn't possible.
Und dann kommt
I got really
Mirage.
confused when this Mirage used his ability to clone himself. I mean, look at that reaction time. Oh, and then the Mirage clone got me again.
You got bamboozled.
Yeah, my gun skill is decent from playing so much COD, but I had a long way to go to get good at this game. And just to really hit
Aber hey, 8 Kills,
one of my
Alter.
next games on Broken Moon, I picked up an empty armor and just didn't realize it, so I got absolutely torched a few seconds later. And then in a different game, I was on 7 kills with a lot of people still up and got lost in a building and died to zone like a complete idiot. But I couldn't be mad because I ended the day with an 8-kill game and doubled my previous.
Das würde mich auch wirklich diese Zeit 8 Kills als fettes Erfolgserlebnis anzusehen, das wäre so geil, da zurückzukehren. Das wäre so geil. Aber trotzdem, man sieht, nach einer Woche mit Gun-Skill in Season 17 kein Win und 8 Kills.
After all of this progress
Apex ist schon am Anfang sehr schwer, finde ich. Also die ersten 5 Games, glaube ich, sind easy und dann wird's absolut hardcore.
And a 3K badge, because certainly it would always be this easy. Well, man, was I wrong. Day 8 started off horribly. I couldn't play duos because the queue time was taking forever, so I figured why not try solo trios.
Weird.
It couldn't be that much harder
Solo Trios.
than duos, right? Well, let me tell you, I spent the next few hours getting absolutely
Du hast
slammed.
keine
It
Chance.
seemed like every time I
Als
shot my gun,
Anfänger
I had a triple
Solo
stack push me
Trios.
from out of the blue. So I spent a lot of
Bro.
time frantically running around in circles like I was chasing
Das
my
ist
tail or something.
komplette
I'm not
Zeitverschwendung.
sure
Du
that there's
wirst
a worse
nicht
feeling in this
wachsen.
world than watching 3 players stand over and
Das ist
loot your
krass.
death box. I was flat out not prepared for how coordinated teams would be in pubs and how
Oh, doch.
closely players would be stacking. Obviously, that's how you should play to win, but I thought that pubs would be a bit more relaxed and noob-friendly.
Boah, und wie gesagt, das war letztes Season, ne? Jetzt nimm das mal die Season, das wäre unspielbar.
Parties on Broken Moon. Seriously, the sound of that rail was starting to give me nightmares. My best game that day was only 5 kills because solo trios was just way harder than
Aber
duos.
ist immer Killleader,
But
ne?
despite all of this, I didn't want to give up. Yeah, so it's definitely not fun getting slammed by full teams all day, but I know that it's making me better faster. Solo queuing was how I got better in Warzone, so I figured it had to work in Apex too. And after watching back some of my gameplay, I realized that I had made a pretty basic mistake with my training. I had practiced getting into gunfights by playing the mixtape modes where you can pick the guns you want to use and they already have all the best attachments. But in battle
Genau das habe ich vorhin gemeint. Exakt das ist es. Du kannst es nicht vergleichen. Weil die Waffe, die du im Battle Royale am Anfang findest, die musst du nehmen. Es hilft ja nichts.
Royale, you don't have control over what guns you find, and they oftentimes don't have attachments that make the guns easier to use. So my aim wasn't very consistent when I got stuck with guns that I hadn't really practiced with. And on top of that, your health automatically regenerates in the mixtape modes, but it doesn't in BR. So I wasn't used to switching between the syringes, medkits, and armor. In order to heal without taking my thumbs off the analog sticks, I had to change my grip on my controller, which felt pretty weird. However, I knew that if I wanted to fight teams by myself and have a chance at reaching my goal, I had to get more comfortable with using any weapon I could find, and I needed to be able to heal quickly. So to tackle this, I started to practice in the range with a larger variety of guns. I looked at the recoil patterns and tried to one-clip the dummies. And in between reloads, I practiced using the health menu to simulate what I would need to do in a gunfight. And specifically working on these weaknesses seemed to help.
Also ich glaube schon, dass wenn du wirklich 50% des Tages im Schießstand verbringst, dass du dich da schon krass verbesserst. Definitiv.
Drop with guns that I had been avoiding, and I was getting more and more one clips, which at least gave me a fighting chance when I was outnumbered. I had
Stark,
a really great
Alter.
game on Storm Point, where I was able to use smart positioning.
Vor allem, wie gesagt, guck mal auf sein Movement und sein Aim, ne? Für das, dass er 9 Tage erst spielt, ist das gigantisch.
More comfortable using the medkits. The game went down to the wire with 4 teams left, and all of them converging on this building. I was locked and loaded
Strafing
with
ist
an R9
gut.
and a Volt, so I knew this was my chance to break some PRs
Ducken ist
and
gut.
hopefully get my first damage badge.
Springen ist gut, Alter,
I was feeling
yo.
like I had this in the bag, but then this happened.
Ah,
No, I'm not
unlucky.
gonna lie. It was definitely a bummer not to get my first damage badge or beat my kill record.
Aber
But I
hey,
was happy to
Alter.
finally have a good game playing trios. Maybe this solo queue strategy would work after all. And over the next few days, I got into a routine where I practiced my mechanics in the morning and alternated back and forth between mixtape modes and battle royale games in the afternoon.
Boah,
Despite its
diese Motivation zu
downsides,
haben,
mixtape
Alter.
modes
Den
helped me
ganzen
practice
Tag
my
Apex zu
movement
spielen.
and get into a lot of gunfights, which helped me lock it in during battle royale games, which were a lot slower paced. Let's go! First win. But after days and days of grinding, I was starting to hit a wall. My mechanics were steadily improving to help me win one-on-one gunfights, but I wasn't getting higher kill games, and I still hadn't even gotten a single damage badge by day 14. I was finding it too hard to fight teams as a solo player. Learning new things like swapping armor in the middle of a gunfight to get more health was helping me get better at it, but I just wasn't consistently winning in these situations. I tried to play duo games.
Er kann sogar Fatigue Wall Bounces, Bro. Alter.
Could find them, but the queue times took forever, and it seemed like the skill-based matchmaking had been cranked up compared to the first few days of playing. The days were ticking by, and I wasn't getting any closer to achieving my goals for this challenge. I knew that it was time to make a drastic change. I had to get teammates.
It took you long enough.
Yeah, crazy, I know.
Oh, ein
Playing
geiler
a
Song im
team-based
Hintergrund.
game
Habe ich auch schon
with
öfter in Videos
teammates.
verwendet.
Wild concept. But hey, I can be a bit stubborn sometimes. Now, I was a little nervous to play with random people in a game that I was still learning because I didn't want to be the weak link that let the team down. And I still wasn't sure if this would actually help me get better. But this game right here changed my mind. We landed at my normal spot on Storm Point and quickly got into a fight with another
Command
team.
Center ist ein
I got
geiler
hit
Spot,
with
den zu
Mad Maggie's
perfektionieren.
wrecking ball, which stuns you and gives the other team speed boost, so I had to fall back to safety. But now that I had teammates, they pushed up to take my positioning, which allowed me to rotate around to the flank to get the easiest cleanup kills of my life. And in the next fight, I was able to play really aggressively, knowing that my teammates had my back. And this helped me get 2 more kills that I probably wouldn't have gotten by myself. And that's pretty much how the rest of this game went. Our team rotated through the map like a unit, easily taking out every enemy squad that we could find.
Ja, also gerade am Anfang, du kannst nicht solo queuen, es macht halt auch einfach wenig Sinn. Du brauchst deine Mates, die einfach dich aufheben und die dich ein bisschen supporten und ein bisschen Damage machen. Ohne das wird es einfach sauschwer. Also geht auch als Solo-Queue, ja, aber dann hast du wirklich eine heftige Reise vor dir. Aber auch schon durch die Fensterfight, der macht das richtig gut. Holy crap! Noch. Dieser Satz trifft auf die ersten 100 Games zu.
And as good as that game was, the next game was even better. My stats were looking good with plenty of teams left, and I just knew this was my chance to get the 2K badge. I had my teammate by my side, and my aim was feeling unstoppable. Seriously, 1 clips are the best feeling in the world. And just a few moments later, boom, 2,000 right on the dot. My first damage badge. Now, I tried to clutch up the rest of the game, but unfortunately, I killed the solo
Nach 15 Tagen? Ja.
On the 3rd team, which left me in a 1v3 against the last team that I eventually lost.
Ja,
I got
klar.
another 2K damage game the next day, and I started to think that my goals for this challenge would be pretty easy now that I was playing with teammates. However,
Er hat einfach mehr Damage als ich diese Season. Aber gut, das war Season 17. Alles. Du kannst es nicht vergleichen.
I was about to make a big mistake because on day 16 I saw something. Zip line movement. Now, if you remember all the way back to my first games on World's Edge, I had fought a demon using this kind of movement. And after seeing it again, I decided that now I wanted to learn it. I figured it wouldn't take too long to get it down.
Das hat alles leider Season 17. Oder sogar Season 16, weil wir haben in Season 17. Das ist noch älter teilweise. Wir haben doch in Season 16 den neuen Schießstand bekommen. Dann ist das Footage ja Season 15 oder noch älter. Ja, okay, da war das Matchmaking noch absolut in Ordnung.
I spent like the next 5 days or so learning to super jump and do this thing.
Das kannst du mit der Season nicht vergleichen. Kannst du mit der Season nicht vergleichen, es geht nicht. Management ist auch schwer. Auf PC, auf Maustastatur einfacher.
That lets you play Apex on custom maps by yourself to practice your movement. Yeah, I pretty much went down the rabbit hole on this one. If you can't tell by now, I tend to get really obsessed with learning new things and just can't stop until I can do them. That was it! Oh, I was sick! Well, by the time I got back into the swing of grinding
alles leider kein Season 18 Footage.
I'd expected to continue right where I
Boah, das in Season 18 würde mich so interessieren. Von einem kompletten Anfänger, weil ich glaube einfach, dass das die Hölle ist. Ich glaube, das ist Hölle. Ich hätte da gar keinen Bock drauf, glaube ich.
One of the first things you do when you load into the lobby is each player picks their legend, and there can't be 2 of the same legends on a team, which was an issue for me because I found out pretty quickly that Wraith was quite popular, and I had absolutely no idea how to play anyone else. So there were many games when I tried to use my Wraith ability to get out of a gunfight, and I just died because, well, I wasn't playing Wraith. And I was also discovering that Apex has a problem. I call it the pub dilemma. Lobbies start.
Das bemängelt er als Anfänger nach 23 Tagen.
With 20 teams, and I'd say at least half of those squads hot drop into 1 or 2 different POIs on the map. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's a casual game mode, and people want to get into the action quickly, but this causes the lobbies to die out really fast. If you don't land hot, you're basically playing a looting simulator for 20 minutes because most of the teams are dead after the first circle. I would have preferred to play a more balanced game, but with the choice between extreme action or boredom, I'm choosing the action. Which sounds fun and all, but landing hot isn't exactly a walk in the park, especially when you're playing with random teammates. Okay, I don't think that was my fault. Yeah, between the lobbies dying out quickly and my teammates not being built for landing hot, it felt like I was back at square one.
Absolut scheiße gut nach 24 Tagen.
To do well in Apex pubs. I was getting to the point where I could beat teams that weren't very good, like this one, but later on in the same match, I ran into more coordinated teams and things didn't go so well. I killed this 2-man squad pretty easily, but in classic Apex fashion, a different team heard the gunshots going on in this part of the map and came to third party. So I had to retreat and hide to heal up, and I had have to say, there's nothing more terrifying than hearing a full team running around above you. I tried to rat and go for a one clip, but that didn't work, which put me in a situation that was pretty hard to win without teammates. I missed too many shots on the first guy and got completely surprised by the second guy because I
Ja,
didn't
aber
hear his
Junge,
footsteps
hallo,
at all.
du
But I
spielst
did
seit
at least hit some
24
nice PK
Tagen, du
shots,
spielst
which made me feel a little
insane.
bit better when I died. Now, I know some people will say that not everyone wants to land hot, which is why people leave when they die. And I totally get that. But what was interesting is people left when they were eliminated no matter when it happened in the game. In this match right here, we were on a pretty good pace, but we got pushed by a good team, and as soon as both my teammates went down, they immediately left the game, even though there was plenty of time for me to grab their banners
Das
and
Video
hit
ist
a
so geil.
respawn beacon. I definitely don't blame people for leaving because it really does take a long time to regain an Apex, and it's not like we're playing for money or for a rank. So you
Aber es ist
can't
trotzdem
really
einfach
expect
mies.
people to play like a team. But it was frustrating to spend the rest of this match getting chased by 3 stacks, only to die in the storm just a few points shy of a 2.5k damage badge. Now I did manage to get the badge the next day, but the game wasn't that fun. My teammates died early, and I more or less farmed damage for 15 minutes because I couldn't find any openings to get kills without dying. I also whiffed a lot of shots at the end because I was nervous, so I'm not sure if that's really an accomplishment to brag about. I wanted to get higher kill games, but there always seemed to be something that went wrong. In this match, I was on pace for a good game, but things took a bad turn when the second ring started closing. We were fighting a team, and I got a knock, but my one teammate went down, and the other either crashed or left the game. Now this might have been okay, but then a new team third-partied us, and I had to frantically portal away to stay alive. I killed the first player who pushed me, but when I went to heal, I realized the team had a Mad Maggie, and her riot drill made it impossible to stay behind cover. So I had to run back even further and pray that I could open this door without getting killed.
Nein.
Somehow I managed to do that, and I ended up getting a pretty nice kill on her when she pushed me. But then I should have thrown a thermite here to prevent the last player from rushing me, and I should have reloaded my guns before healing up. So I wasn't ready for this gunfight, and I completely blew one of the best games I had in this challenge so far, which felt pretty terrible. At first, I wanted to chalk these losses up.
Da ist Apex absolut unforgiven. Da vergibt dir Apex nicht.
And I wasn't the best teammate either. After seeing how people don't take pubs seriously at all, I started to say screw it and would land hot, hoping that the rest of my team followed me. I had played too many games where we would land far away and loot up for 15 minutes, only to die to the first team that we encountered. So that felt like a complete waste of time. I think it's just tough in general to go against teams that are playing together when you're in a random squad.
Aber wie gesagt, Season 17 oder halt Season 17 und drunter.
What Apex does in terms of
Kein Season 18
pubs,
Content.
but it really did seem like most teams we went up against were at a much higher skill level than us, and were also definitely a pre-made squad. Playing Apex Legends was reminding me that there are certain games you have to play with friends, because if you don't, it's a dark and lonely world out there. Okay, that was a bit much. Even though I ended up getting slammed most of the last week, I did finish out the challenge strong by increasing my kill PR to 10, and I unlocked the 3k badge on the last day of the challenge by farming damage after my team left the game. I also kind of learned how to super glide,
3k?
Cool because, you know, movement's awesome.
Einem Monat?
Is Apex better than Warzone?
Stark.
You know, I'm not sure. I just had fun trying something new, and I'm happy to have another game to play. Things didn't exactly go to plan, but nothing in life ever really does. And besides, I think I may have been playing the wrong game mode this entire time.
Oh, gibt's eine Ranked Series? Ich weiß ja nicht, wie viel er aufgenommen hat, aber das sind halt teilweise Clips aus Season 15 noch gewesen. Aber wenn er das in Season 18 startet, Ranked zu spielen, kann er sich rippen gehen, weil das ist quasi unmöglich. Aber sau interessantes Video. Also er hat auf jeden Fall Spaß an Apex, finde ich krass. Allerdings, wie gesagt, das sind dann alles Gameplays und Clips und Momente aus den vorherigen Seasons gewesen. Und diese Season ist absolut grauenvoll, um einzusteigen. Deswegen, ich hätte mir das Video tatsächlich... Also war total geiles Video, wirklich absolut geil gemacht, geil geschnitten, saugeil kommentiert, mega stark. Aber so ein Video in Season 18 hätte mich tatsächlich sogar noch ein Stück mehr interessiert. Aber trotzdem, saugeil. Leute, guckt unbedingt mal bei Dreamstrike vorbei. Ich bin gespannt, was da in Zukunft noch kommt. Ihr werdet es auf dem Channel sehen. Mir hat es richtig gut gefallen. Schreibt mal eure Meinungen dazu in die Kommentare. Und dann würde ich sagen, sehen wir uns im nächsten Video. Leute, positiv bewerten. Macht's gut, bis dann und ciao.